Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Euro 2024 qualifier matchday predictions. On the first international break for these qualifiers, we're going to be seeing match days 1 and 2. The matches start this Thursday and end on the 28th. So 5 days of international football for the European teams. Now, obviously, I already uploaded my final Euro 2024 qualifier predictions, but that was for the standings. These are going to be going over each match individually, so don't be surprised if you see a prediction in this video that doesn't really correlate to my final table standings. As, yeah, any of these teams can definitely bounce back. We're only going over 2 match days today. There's going to be 8 more to go throughout the year. So please, if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel to stay tuned for all of the Euro 2024 qualifier coverage. And let's try to hit 2,000 likes. Now, there are so many matches we're going to be going over in this video, so don't be surprised if I go over a few pretty quickly. I'll definitely be going into more depth on certain matches more than others, but let's start off with the first Euro 2024 qualifier matchup, Kazakhstan versus Slovenia. Being played in Kazakhstan, these guys had an incredible Nations League run, topping their group over Slovakia. Can they continue to do wonders against a side that might be arguably similar on paper to Slovakia? Slovenia obviously have a few other components that Slovakia kind of lack at the moment. For example, they have a young upcoming striker, Šeško, who has been brilliant. They also have one of the best goalkeepers in the world, Jan Oblak. Obviously, Slovakia had a hefty slip, and they definitely have a lot of work to do to pick themselves up. But Slovenia are arguably looking a tad bit more confident themselves. Yes, they finished 3rd in their Nations League group, but it was a much more difficult group, and they actually finished off very nicely. It's going to be very interesting to see what Kazakhstan are capable of, as their World Cup qualifier campaign was one to forget. Grabbing no wins, also losing to France 8-0 at one point. I could see us finishing in a narrow draw, or Slovenia scraping through. Won't be surprised if Kazakhstan pick up the 3 points themselves, but I'm going to say Slovenia are able to start off strong. They grab a 1-0 win against Kazakhstan. Now for the next matchup, we were just talking about this country, Slovakia. They're coming up against a pretty underrated side here, Luxembourg. I talked about this in my last prediction video, but Slovakia, what a side they have. They have one of the best midfielders this season, Lobotka, on Napoli. He's killing it, along with an incredible center back, Skriniar. So much great individuality on this team, yet they somewhat seem to lack as a unit. They should be doing so much better than they currently are. Like I said, the Nations League did not go to plan for them, and the last World Cup qualifiers, they grabbed a decent amount of draws. Luxembourg, on the other hand, in the World Cup qualifiers, they did finish 4th, but they did put off some impressive displays at times, including at the beginning of the qualifier campaign. They were able to beat Ireland. We also saw them at the end of the Nations League campaign, getting a thrilling draw against Turkey, finishing 3-3. Whenever there's a side that on paper is supposed to be doing better than they are, and they seem to be going on a rough path of form, Luxembourg always seems to take advantage of it. Slovakia at the beginning of the last Euro qualifier campaign ended up drawing with Malta 2-2. Slovakia easily looked to be the better side on paper here, but as you've seen through recent history, there seems to be somewhat of a pattern here. I'm gonna say Slovakia somewhat choke. They're only able to grab 1 point. It finishes in a 1-1 draw between the two countries. Now we're taking a look at one of the biggest matches on match day 1, Italy versus England. Obviously, the Euro finalists coming up against each other once again. They already have met again in the Nations League, where Italy got the best out of them on the second to last match day. England obviously always seem to struggle against this side. Can they finally turn things around? I mean, a lot of their players are looking to be in fantastic form. This country had a very remarkable World Cup. Despite finishing short on the quarterfinals, that's not what they wanted. We still saw them absolutely tear it up in so many fixtures, scoring loads of goals. 6 against Iran, 3 against Senegal, 3 against Wales. And obviously Italy did not qualify for the World Cup, but they're very much making their mark once again. I mean, they topped that difficult Nations League group while England were at the bottom. Lots of young players that are coming through that we saw shine in the Nations League as well. Although we obviously could see England come out on top on this match is being played in Naples, so I'm saying it finishes in a 2-2 draw. Of course, I won't be surprised if I'm wrong. This could really go either way. But now moving on to Denmark versus Finland. The two Nordic countries in this group coming up against each other this early on. For many, they are the favorites to qualify for the tournament. In fact, we saw them in the last tournament face each other in the group stage, where Finland did grab a win, but it was hard to assess that match as Denmark were obviously going through that Christian Eriksen scare. They very much bounced back and had a brilliant tournament, making it all the way to the semifinals. Their World Cup campaign, though, was an absolute disaster. So many people expected them to have a dark horse run there. Nope. They finished last place. Apart from that World Cup campaign, though, we've seen Denmark's quality shine so much together as a unit brilliantly. Still, though, could we see Pukki come in clutch? We see him do it so many times for his national team. I'm saying maybe he's able to score a goal, or someone else does, but Denmark still grabbed the 3 points at the end. It's going to finish 2-1 for Denmark. Now, taking a look at Portugal versus Liechtenstein. Portugal, clear favorites here. Roberto Martinez's first match in charge I think he's going to go out big here. I'm saying Portugal grab a 6-0 win against Liechtenstein. They're playing at home. They have so much quality on this side already. Will Ronaldo be starting? I don't know. But regardless, Portugal are grabbing a win here. It would be insane if they don't. Now taking a look at San Marino versus Northern Ireland. San Marino have not gotten a competitive win at all in their entire history. Can they do so against a very much struggling Northern Ireland? This could be an opportunity for San Marino to break history here, but I'm saying it doesn't happen. Northern Ireland grab a 2-0 win against San Marino. Now for Macedonia versus Malta. Macedonia, got a feel for this side. They are in such a difficult group, man. If it weren't for this terrible luck in the draw, I think they could have had a great opportunity to qualify for this tournament. But Malta, without a doubt, they should be able to handle in this group. I'm saying Macedonia grab a clean 3-0 win against Malta. We'll see how well that ages. Now taking a look at Bosnia versus Iceland. Will Faruk Hadzibegic struggling his first match in charge. I'm a bit skeptical about this guy, I'll be honest. But regardless, they're playing at home. Bosnia have so much quality on their side. Aiden Dzeko can definitely turn up. Milan Pjanic will be injured. He did tear his hamstring. However, they still got some incredible young midfielders pulling through. Ahmet Hodzic in the back line. Amar Dedic. They should not overlook Iceland. This side of the Nations League was able to draw every single one of their matches. I would not be surprised if this match finishes in a draw, but I'm going to be hopeful for Bosnia and say they can do it. I'm going to say they grab a 2-1 win. Now for Bulgaria versus Montenegro. What an underrated matchup here. The Balkan nations competing. Montenegro with some great individuality, but like I mentioned in previous videos, Savic is not having his best season. Jovetic could turn up, but he's just coming back from injury and has been obviously in a struggling Hertha Berlin side. Bulgaria, on the other hand, they've got Serbia's former coach in the 2018 World Cup, Mladen Kristajic. He could get the best out of the likes of Despodov, who's been doing wonderfully at Ludogorets. Maybe we see some other youngsters pull through, such as Nikola Iliev. This one's a flip of a coin, man. I gotta be rooting for Montenegro. You know I always try to root for the ex-Yugo countries. I think this one will finish in a draw. A disappointing one, in fact. 0-0. Truly hope I'm wrong. Either Crna, but that's what I'm sticking with. Next up, Gibraltar versus Greece. Gibraltar, probably the most slept-on team in this group. Look at all the quality this group possesses. Greece with a lot of confidence now also after topping their Nations League group. This match should be no problem for them. I'm saying they grab a 4-0 win against Gibraltar. Moldova versus Faroe Islands. The Faroe Islands just love to go for those crazy score lines, and they have impressed many times. They've even upset Turkey in the Nations League. I'm saying the Faroe Islands can come out on top on this, but they will concede some goals. I'm going for an interesting 4-2 scoreline. Now for Serbia versus Lithuania. With Serbia playing at home, with the quality they possess, and no disrespect to Lithuania, they very much should be grabbing a win here. Mitrovic being a massive talking point in the Premier League after his disappointing actions, costing Fulham the game against Manchester United. Hopefully, his attitude doesn't get the best out of him this time around. But I'm saying Serbia are able to grab a 3-0 victory against Lithuania. Now for Austria versus Azerbaijan. Ralf Rangnick has really done a solid job so far since he's taken over. Obviously, getting relegated in the Nations League, but in a difficult group, he's been promising. And I think he can go off to a flying start in these Euro qualifiers against Azerbaijan. Well, I'll say it's a solid one at least. Azerbaijan are not a team to mess with sometimes. They do hold their ground at moments. I'm saying Austria is still able to grab a 2-0 win. Now for Sweden versus Belgium, very interesting match here. Obviously, Belgium had a very disappointing World Cup, and a lot of arguments broke down in the dressing room. I believe the likes of Alderweireld is not going to be in the squad. I think he retired from the national team, but the veteran Vertonghen is still there. Lukaku, despite having his clutch moment in the Champions League against Porto, has been quite underwhelming this season. He also obviously costed Belgium their placement in the knockout rounds, having a terrible performance against Croatia. Of course, you still got one of the best midfielders in the world, Kevin De Bruyne, but the golden generation is only sinking more and more. Also just supporting their new manager, Tedesco. Sweden also not going through a very confident run on form. They did get relegated in the Nations League, but still they obviously got a lot of quality themselves. Isak being in form. Zlatan Ibrahimovic has still made the national team, despite being 41 years old. What an incredible player. This is a really tough one to call. I could see it going either way. I do think Belgium will carry on strong for the rest of the qualifiers, but for the first match day, I'm going to say they go through an early upset. I'm saying Sweden are able to grab a 1-0 win against Belgium here. Like I said, both teams not looking to be in confident runs of form. Sweden failing to even qualify for the World Cup, but I'm going to say that they start off their Euro qualifier campaign with a boost. Don't know how well it's going to go for them after that. In fact, I placed them at third in my final prediction video. But at the beginning, they grab a massive 3 points, and Belgium have work to do later on. Now for Czech Republic versus Poland, these two sides are the favorites to automatically qualify for the Euros in their group. Santos starting off with somewhat of an obstacle at his first match in charge. You can argue he might not have enough time to quickly adapt. Pretty much of a flip of a coin matchup. You can argue that Poland have so much quality on there, but still, you never know with this nation. Sometimes they randomly do slip, and Czech Republic are not one to mess with. They randomly have their spurts of hope. They had an incredible Euro 2020 run where we saw Patrick Schick had an incredible performance, but I'm still saying Poland are able to get the best out of this match. I'll say it finishes 2-1. Poland grab an away win here. Now for another incredible matchup on paper, France versus Netherlands. So many incredible talking points about both of these countries. France had a rough Nations League campaign, but they had an incredible World Cup, making it all the way to the final. Nearly winning as well, it had to go to penalties. Netherlands lost to the same nation on penalties, Argentina. And before then, they were looking like the most informed team in Europe. They topped their Nations League group in convincing style, even while rotating their squad around. Now they got Koeman in charge. Maybe they could adapt differently without Van Gaal at the helm. And obviously the Dutch back line is not going to be an easy feat for France. Of course, Liverpool haven't had the most convincing season, but you still cannot count out Virgil van Dijk. De Ligt, on the other hand, has been massive for Bayern Munich. I'm obviously torn about this one, 50-50 without a doubt. But I'm going to say France are able to grab a narrow 2-1 win. I'm telling you, these two sides you can argue are the best in Europe. So really, won't be surprised if it goes either way. May the best one win. Now for Scotland versus Cyprus. I wrote off Scotland in my standing predictions. But this is Cyprus. Sure, some people are saying don't count out this side either. But I truly think they got paired in a very difficult group. Group filled with way too much quality, and Scotland should grab 3 points in this. I'm saying they grab a 2-0 win. Now for Israel versus Kosovo. What a matchup this is. Neither of these sides qualified for the Euros, but definitely have a solid chance to, and they want to start off big, of course. Kosovo is a mystery box, man. They sometimes just go all out, even upset away at times. Meanwhile, Israel had some surprising moments themselves in the World Cup qualifiers last time. We've seen Solomon have some incredibly clutch moments in the Premier League since he has signed for Fulham, and there's some other incredible youngsters like Oscar Glock and Laia Labada. I've been over Kosovo's squad in the past many times as well. Muriqi has had a very interesting season with Mallorca. Muric incredible for Burnley in between the sticks this season. Rahmani been with that incredible Napoli side. I'm rooting for Kosovo to come out clutch, but I'm saying Israel are able to get the best out of them this time, mainly because of the home side. And I know both home fixtures will have a massive impact in this matchup. So for now, I'm going to say Kosovo are able to do it the second time around, depending on their form, obviously. But this first match, I am saying Israel pull through, and I'm saying it finishes in a 3-2 thriller going Israel's way. Best of luck to Kosovo, though. Now for Armenia versus Turkey. Why are these sides in the same group? Regardless, it's happening, and it is being played in Armenia. Turkey, on paper, are the better side here, but I've already discussed their inconsistencies, and Armenia's confidence could be high at the moment. Their new manager from Ukraine, Alexander Petrokov, could be a perfect fit, and definitely can take advantage of Turkey's inconsistencies. He was the previous manager for Ukraine. We all know recently Ukraine have had incredible qualifier campaigns. He was in charge of their World Cup qualifier campaign where they got loads of draws. But still, in a difficult group, getting that playoff spot, pretty impressive considering he still went undefeated. No matter which side I favor here, if I get this prediction wrong, either one of these fan bases from these two countries will come at me in the comments without a doubt. This match is obviously going to be filled with loads of intensity, but I'm going to say both teams are left disappointed here, and it finishes in a 2-2 draw. I still think Turkey have what it takes to pick themselves up, but maybe we'll just have a rough start. Who knows though, because last time in the World Cup qualifiers, they had a flying start beating Netherlands. Now for Belarus versus Switzerland, unfortunately Belarus have just been extremely disappointing. Switzerland, the favorites in this group to get first place without a doubt. I'll say Switzerland have a flying start, and they're able to win 5-0. Sorry, Belarus. But now moving on to Spain versus Norway. Pretty tough one to call. Of course, Spain are the favorites here, but with some of Norway's players that have been looking to be in incredible form, they could pull an upset here. But Spain have just appointed a new manager, Luis de la Fuente, and the squad could be comfortable with him as he's had a lot of experience with the youth sides. Spain are the favorites to top this group. It's going to be a difficult fleet though, and they definitely will be halted at times, and I'm going to say they are at the beginning. Not a win for Norway, but they're only able to grab 1 point. It finishes 1-1 between both sides. Now for Croatia versus Wales. Croatia are known to have their slips randomly, despite always pulling through at the end. They could very much slip whenever against any of these teams, even though they look like the favorites atop this group. Wales are definitely going to be going through a bit of a rebuild. A lot of their players have retired. Gareth Bale being the biggest name out of the bunch. Of course, they have some youngsters still there, but I do think it will take some time for them to kind of regain that identity. And I'm saying Croatia pull through at home. They're able to win 2-0. Now for Andorra versus Romania. I've written off Romania in my other prediction videos, but in this matchup in specific, I'm saying that they start off very strong here. I'm going to say that they're able to grab a 4-0 win against Andorra. I don't know if they will be able to keep up the momentum, but for now, I'm saying they come out big here. That's all of Matchday 1. Let's move on to Matchday 2 now. Starting off with Kazakhstan versus Denmark. Kazakhstan playing 2 home fixtures in this. I said they lose in the last one, but can they redeem themselves against the mighty Denmark? Unfortunately, no. In my opinion, love to see them prove me wrong. I'm going to say they grab an away 3-0 win. Now for England versus Ukraine. Of course, most people are banking on England. They're playing at home. However, we cannot sleep on Ukraine here. In their last 2 qualifier runs, they went undefeated twice. Can they do it for a 3rd time in a row? It's going to be extremely difficult against England and Italy. The last time these sides faced each other, in fact, England destroyed them 4-0 in the Euros. Ukraine were gassed out at that point in the quarterfinals, and Shevchenko made some interesting calls in terms of his starting lineup. However, could easily see England halted here. I don't want to sleep on Ukraine whatsoever. Really won't be surprised if there's an upset here or a draw, but I'm still going to go for England pulling through and Ukraine struggling a little bit at first. Maybe they can redeem themselves later, but I'm going to say England grab a 3-1 win. Now for Liechtenstein versus Iceland, no disrespect to Liechtenstein, but I think this is an easy win for Iceland. I don't know how many goals they'll be able to score, but I'm just going to say it finishes 2-0. Moving on though to Slovenia versus San Marino. Sorry, San Marino, but Slovenia at home, definitely their chance to shine. Could potentially score loads of goals. I will say they're able to win 4-0. Slovakia versus Bosnia. Huge match. I think most people are debating that either of these sides could automatically qualify just under Portugal for that 2nd place spot. If my other prediction were to come true, Slovakia are definitely going to be motivated to redeem themselves as they have been halted a bit by Luxembourg. Bosnia could be confident after just beating Iceland, supposedly. I'm torn about this one. I want to go for Bosnia, of course, but I'm not 100% sure Faruk Hadzibegic can have an immaculate start to his qualifier campaign. I don't know. It's either going to be a narrow Bosnia win or a draw, but I'm going to lean towards a draw here. I will go for 1-1. Now for Northern Ireland versus Finland. Finland probably the favorites here. So many people sleeping on Northern Ireland. Even though they're the home side in this, I still think Finland will pull it through. I think this is Puki's perfect time to shine, and it finishes 2-0 for Finland. Now for Luxembourg versus Portugal. Despite Luxembourg having their impressive moments, it's going to be a tough lead against Portugal. In fact, they were in the same World Cup qualifier group, and Portugal were able to get the best out of them both times. I'm saying Portugal are grabbing a win here, but it finishes 3-1. Now though for Malta versus Italy. Should we give Italy a massive scoreline? I don't know. Maybe they could somewhat struggle to convert. Nah, I'm going to say they're able to ball out here. I'll go for 7-0. Might be extremely ambitious, but I definitely think Italy have what it takes to go out with a bang here. The ex-UEFA countries facing each other. Montenegro versus Serbia. Montenegro definitely have what it takes to halt Serbia, but I do think Serbia can pull through. I'll say it finishes 2-1 for Serbia. Netherlands versus Gibraltar. I think it's safe to go for a hefty one here. Should we just absolutely go all out? I'm going to say it finishes 8-0 for Netherlands. Now for Poland versus Albania. I'm worried about Albania because obviously they're going through some injuries. Biggest one being Broja, their star striker, who has had some incredible performances. They definitely can still pull through without him. They're a structured side. It'll be interesting to see how Slovenia is able to handle all of them, as he has just taken charge. And it will be an interesting battle now that both of these nations have appointed new managers. But these sides are already pretty familiar with each other as they did have to face each other in the World Cup qualifiers, and Poland got the best out of them both times. Prove me wrong, Albania, but I do think Polska have what it takes to have a strong start here. They grab a 2-0 win over Albania. Now for Austria versus Estonia. A lot of people are upset that I was sleeping on Estonia so much. They had a decent 2022, but they were in the easiest Nations League group. And with the quality Austria have, they have a lot of exciting youngsters coming into the scene as well. I do think they have what it takes to get a convincing win here. I'll see Estonia make it interesting though, but Austria still win 3-1. Now for Sweden versus Azerbaijan, if my upset does come true, Sweden will be going in with loads of confidence after just beating Belgium. But I do see them somewhat struggling against Azerbaijan. I think it's going to be a narrow victory once again, actually, where they only are able to grab 1 goal and it finishes 1-0. Moving on to Moldova versus Czech Republic. Czech Republic very much need to bounce back if Poland have just beaten them, and I'm saying they do. They win over Moldova 3-0. Now for Hungary versus Bulgaria. Hungary, a phenomenal side that nearly topped their Nations League group, just falling short at the end to Italy, getting extremely convincing displays against England. Without a doubt, one of the most exciting underdogs in Europe with a lot of quality players. Milos Kerkez, Szoboszlai, and I think they have what it takes to have a very strong start, especially if they're at home against Bulgaria. I'm saying they win 4-1. Now for Ireland versus France. Ireland have a lot of exciting young players coming up, as I've mentioned in many videos in the past, and this side have kind of stirred up the group in the World Cup qualifiers last time, where they did halt Portugal and even Serbia at one point. Can they do the same against France? Wouldn't be surprised if they can hold up a draw against these giants. I'm going to say we do see some Irish luck here after France grab a massive win against Netherlands. Obviously could be wrong, pretty much an upset. I mean, it is March after all. Why not? I'll go for a 1-1 draw. Moving on though to Georgia versus Norway. We haven't gone over Georgia yet in this video. Kvicha versus Holland. Both of these forwards have been next level this year. Georgia are such an underrated unit even without Kvicha. So many gems in there that a lot of other people aren't talking about. And they could be coming into confidence after topping their Nations League group in absolute style, demolishing every team they faced. Sure, not the most difficult Nations League group, but still, you gotta give this side respect. And they also stopped Sweden's dreams to qualify for the World Cup last year. Norway, the favorites here, but screw it. Georgia, the home side, they're gonna remain confident, at least at the beginning. They're gonna be a massive talking point once again, and I'm saying they're able to beat Norway 2-1. They've already recently beaten a Scandinavian team. Why can't they do it again? This obviously could age terribly. Best of luck to Norway. Now for Wales versus Latvia. I already said don't sleep on Latvia. They love to put off incredible fights, even though they look like such an underdog here. In the World Cup qualifiers, they never had a massively hefty defeat to any of the teams they faced. They even picked up quite a decent amount of draws. And with Wales being in an unpredictable situation right now with some of their players retiring, who knows what could happen here. However, Wales have an incredible record at home. If this match were away, I might have shifted it towards a draw maybe, but I do think Wales have what it takes to win here. I'm saying they grab a 2-0 win. Now for Romania versus Belarus. Again, I'm saying Romania have a really good start here. Just coming off against a massive win against Andorra and having to come against Belarus next. Like I said, I don't think this side is convincing enough. I think Romania can grab a 2-0 win. Moving on to Switzerland versus Israel. Could Israel halt the Giants in this group? It's going to be tough, but I do see them putting off a decent fight. Regardless, I'm saying Switzerland grab a 2-1 win here. I definitely think they have the quality to have a strong ground in this tournament. I don't see them slipping too much. Maybe once, but I'm not saying it will happen this early. We'll see though. Now for Kosovo versus Andorra. If Kosovo are just falling short to Israel, Kosovo must come out big here, and I think they will. Sorry, Andorra, but I'm saying they get slapped twice. I'll say Kosovo are able to grab a 3-0 win. Now for Turkey versus Croatia. Very nervous about this because Turkey are extremely unpredictable. They have some interesting history with Croatia, of course. I know for a fact Croatia is going to slip at least once or twice in this qualifier campaign. I really hope I'm wrong on that saying, by the way. I do think they'll grab first at the end, but they're the cardiac Croatians for a reason, man. They love to do the job always, but just in the most nerve-wracking fashion for the fans. And this could very much be the matchup where we do slip. Can't rule out Turkey here whatsoever, despite many positives for Croatia. Obviously, still counting on Gvardiol to put off some brilliant performances. Still worried about our attacking options, though. Kramaric, I mean, even domestically, has not been doing very well for Hoffenheim. I am going to say Croatia are a bit halted here. Not massively. It finishes in a draw. I will go for 0-0. And the final match, we're looking at Scotland versus Spain. Scotland also have a pretty solid home ground, but coming up against Spain will be a very tough fleet. And I will say that they lose. I do think Spain will be victorious here. And I think they will grab a solid 2-0 win against the mighty Scots. Best of luck to Scotland, though. What a nation. Would love to see them prove me wrong in this prediction. Well, guys, those are all of my Euro 2024 qualifier predictions for match days 1 and 2. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. This video will most likely age pretty badly, but if it ages absolutely terribly, I will do a reaction video. I went for some upsets here, I know, but there very much will be. You can't always go for the favorites in these, especially at the beginning. We really could see some massive turn of events. But can't wait to see what happens. Regardless if I'm right or wrong on all of these, it's going to be a very thrilling international break. Like this video if you haven't already, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you all very, very soon. Take care. Laku noć.